yesterday I did a bit more CSS, and right now have a look at how default YouTube chat looks. Terrible, right? You have this little thing that takes up entirely too much vertical space for a functionality that's questionably useful. Like, just have it in live chat, right? I did a bit of testing here. Okay, stream is healthy, great. This thingy, which doesn't usually matter. Thank you. It doesn't usually matter when you actually pop out the chat. Then, in my own, like, texting window, it takes entirely too much. Like, that's a lot. And I'm the streamer, I am unlikely to be typing myself in the chat, you know? So why is it so big? Sure, if you're the watcher, first of all, can this thing disappear, please? It's like open link in the current tab. I'm not doing a very good job showing off this, right? Here we go. Right, so we have add reaction. Sure, as a viewer, probably useful, I don't know. Not for me. I don't even know what this... Huh! I did not know about this. Okay, that's a skill issue on my part. Basically, a lot of stuff. There's this reaction window, which once again, as a viewer, sure, alright. But as a streamer, this is so useless. And what's worst thing about it is that it's possible that text can go up to here, making it impossible to read because of this window. So let's actually pop out chat and see how it looks now. Boom. Very minimal with far lesser paddings. And the thing that I did yesterday specifically, I recolored it. So now it looks quite different. I am using a background color that I use for everywhere. I use it for VS Code, I use it for the terminal, and all that stuff. Often people with OCD or autism, the ones with the best perspective when it comes to UI and UX. Yeah, I've actually noticed that, not gonna lie. It makes sense, to be fair, because like you're constantly annoyed. I guess that doesn't work. You're constantly annoyed with everything and you're like, yeah, why is this so bad? And you kind of end up learning about how to make it look better. Right, so the terminal for my browser actually, which isn't often seen, but we can actually compare. This is, yeah, those are the same colors. I know them like by heart, this specific color code. And some other places. Oh, my like system theme as well is this color. So it plays very nice. And if I type something, I'm using the yellow here and in my nickname. That is also a color that I use all like everywhere. Here, 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 everywhere. Lol. Right, and also by default, my messages are like highlighted. You can think of it as this. I'm currently hovering over my message, and it would usually highlight differently like this, right? That's kind of annoying and unnecessary. Like, I already stand out quite a lot. There's not really a need to make me stand out even more. So I removed that, and now the background for my messages are the same as your guys. And also the text, which is in white, is now in the white color that I actually use everywhere once again, like here in the browser, VS Code, terminal, system, all that. However, what I'm currently thinking of, what if I make you guys pink? Like the color of nicknames. Let's look at how it actually look. It might be a meh idea, but you never know. So we have author name with color, live chat secondary text color, with a very specific color. Okay, let's change it to FFA FD7. Ooh, I think that looks quite nice. What do you think? We also have FFD75F, which is yellow, and I think that makes more sense. I can't exactly say if it looks better, but I think it makes more sense. Oh, huh. Interesting. Text here also changed. Making it look kind of warmer. You could check if the YouTube name matches a Twitch name, then query the API for the chosen global chat name color and use that. Let me process that. I drank a can of beer. So drunk stream! Woohoo! Drunk stream! If the YouTube name matches a Twitch name, then query the API for the chosen global chat name color and use that. That sounds like entirely like too much. Although pink is the second best option. I think, considering that here I stand out in yellow, and the usual message will be also in yellow, but kind of like reversed, it works really well together, even though I think I prefer pink overall more. I'm not sure about this, but I think what I will do is I'll change the live chat secondary text color to yellow, but then override this thing specifically. That's what I'm gonna do. So let's double click this and Control C. If you didn't know, that's what you can do. This like inspect window is actually way like better UX wise than you would think. At least for me, when I was opening up like by accident before I was a programmer and stuff, it's just, oh, that's like too much. I close immediately. Ah, scary, right? But the more I use this window, the more I realize that there's actually a lot of nice things here. Like, for example, if there's like, say you're editing the width of something or any like number, right? You can just hold down and like move your mouse, holding it up to change the value. That kind of thing is here. You can pick the color here, which is also very cool. Is this what front end is like? I don't know. Maybe. I might be accidentally training myself to be a front end developer without really knowing that I am doing that, which is quite hilarious. Okay, let's go to chat. Here we go. I want to figure out, okay, so HTML dark. In HTML dark, we would add this. So YouTube live chat secondary text color, var shell yellow. Huh, it does that. Shell yellow. Interesting. One update about my chat CSS, I actually started using CSS variables, which is not like a completely revolutionary and new idea, no, but it was kind of weird for me to come to this conclusion in CSS specifically, because what I'm doing here is not really making a proper application or anything. No, I'm just hacking away something that already exists, is proprietary, and is unsurprisingly shit. So the approach to programming that I'm having right now with this is that, oh, I'm just hacking around. I'm like fucking around with it without doing anything particularly proper. So actually using variables was new to me, but yeah, now all the various colors that I reuse in this file are just variables. That way I won't have to like cross-reference stuff. I can be sure that, oh, I'm using the same color for all of these. So that's pretty nice. Okay. Now the next thing that I want to do is change this color. I'm hoping it will be also like in the element. YouTube live chat text input field color. Huh. Interesting. It turns into white. Okay. Initial. What do you mean by initial? It would usually move you to the actual definition of the color, but it doesn't here. And going back is not a thing. Okay, well, let's re-inspect. Oh, okay. var YouTube live chat text input field white space. Okay, that's specifically for white space. It is also initial. Okay. What is text shadow? I wish it would like show you, like it does for padding, for example. I wish it would show you like, oh, it's the color of this specific thing. But I feel like it's text shadow. Let's copy this and say red. I guess not. That's not the thing. I used to be able to just press Ctrl Z to undo my change, but I can no longer do this, which is strange. Okay, let's copy this and also say red. That's really weird. I kind of undid my changes. I guess because of some error. I should be rereading the Divine Comedy right now. Are you in college or something? Or school? I think I read like a bit, maybe 20 pages of that, and then never bothered to read more. I don't know, it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange how much of a importance is laid on, oh, it's a classic. You have to have read it. It's so important. You read said classic and it's like, okay, it's like fine. I think the beauty, art, and culture of today sometimes is underappreciated, and the culture of previous years, the cultures of like a lot of time ago, is overappreciated. Sure, some things may age surprisingly well, but like, why are you that surprised? That's great, don't get me wrong, that like pumps that work of art quite a bit up. It's like good, obviously, but I don't know, it's not enough really. Okay, so let's try to change just color. Does nothing. Okay, I can do Control Z if I'm still in the input box. And it just decides to be like, alright then, I'll like fuck off. Let's copy this, red. That's quite interesting that every color I've changed here now, and it did nothing. It's a classic. You're required to consume at least some of the greatest pieces of art in history. Then why won't the principal reply to my proposal about making it mandatory to play? I mean, I'm not sure about Dark Souls 1, but 3? I could see that. It's like a very important cultural icon. It's like, you know, it's more useful in a sense. Yeah, like socially, it's more useful to have played Dark Souls 3 than to have read, what was it? Divine Comedy, you know? Sure, you're like getting educated and stuff, but is that going to be important in a small talk, I don't know, at work, for example? You will most likely be talking about Dark Souls 3 far more than Divine Comedy. It's like, you could just teach me something that's going to be more useful to me, you know? YouTube live chat renderer. That's like too precise, I guess. Okay, let's do it the other way around. Let's yank till this and search by it. This way we can see the actual thing that depends on that variable and change it there. That's specified by me. YouTube live chat secondary text color. Since we overrode it, it's now using it as a default. So this text might not actually be styled and might instead be using the default. The thing is that Dark Souls 3 is a good sequel, but DS1 is what props it up, especially since DS1 is the only one with proper interconnected world design. It shows how much immersion can. I agree. Let's click on it again, I guess. Oh, wait. Yeah. I actually even remember clicking on this element and being like, oh, maybe I can change it. Oh, I can do it with CSS. I like distinctly remember that. But it doesn't have any styles. What if we add attribute? Well, not like that. Can I like add style to it? You know? Usually there's like, oh, it's because I'm pressing this. My bad. Oh, okay, so it's just clicking the wrong element. How much immersion can be achieved despite technical limitations? No style. There are some like emotes, usually Twitch emotes, that I want to have in Unicode so I can just remember the Unicodes and use them anywhere. Like the let's go, the screaming emoji on Twitch. I love it so much, but I don't have an alternative to use in Unicode. It's very annoying. One of my vapes has finished charging, so let me plop in the second one. Yes, I have two to charge now. Optimal vaping. Because if you have just one, you're vaping, sitting around, right? And then at one point it loses all battery and you're like left to cry, I guess, and not vape. But if you have two, you can always have at least one of them be charged enough to vape. That's why I bought two. Of the same one, mind you. And there is one character that is in Unicode. I set the font to this chat to inert font so it will render, so send it. If you remember what it is. Top left, okay, color. Live chat text input field placeholder car. Yeah, that's what I should be changing. Even though it's set, it's not what's being used here, because it's specifying some kind of white color, and that's not what's being used. And the second one is a variable that does not exist. Interesting. Okay, let's try to change it like ourselves. And it does work. Okay. So we can copy this. I could also double click. I probably should, because it just like, oh, we don't need it, I guess. No nerd font needed. The character. I am lying in wait. Oh my god, you legend. I know the Unicode of this character by heart. I love it so much. It's the best character. I know it's like from a language, but I don't particularly care. I just find it incredibly cool. Boom. Oops. Nope, only once. Boom, boom. Okay, so we set color, and now I don't have to go and look at the actual color. I can just say groovebox white, and then we copy this, and boom. I was gonna boom boom. Oh, I was focused on DevTools. And now, as you can see, we have the correct color for the chat, which is really nice. 3164. Are you like saying that in decimal? Because I remember the hex code, like Unicode in hex rather than decimal. Boom. With a U, groove box, like groove box, like this. Okay. So let's immediately comment this, because it's not really that helpful just looking at the selector. Chat. I think that's the best explainer, truthfully. Damn, you even throw hexes? Didn't know I was dealing with a witch. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely a witch. It won't reach me. The flaming one? I think you're the witch here. Okay, let's make 2 commits actually. So these are the 2 only changes. First thing we do is actually close DevTools. We're not going to be doing anything more. Go to dot files, stylus for YouTube chat. What did we do with that line? Change nickname colors to yellow. And in a similar but a bit different fashion, we do YouTube chat. Change, or rather fix, chat turning yellow, because that's more realistically what we actually did. Now, on these streams, I understood that actually doing stuff and like implementing something, figuring it out, doing that for a long time eventually breaks my mental health and stops me from wanting to stream. So this wasn't actually the intention. I just wouldn't be able to do it off stream, you know? So the chat is cute, right? But that's not the only thing for stream that I did yesterday. And fuck, right now I'm forgetting the hotkeys that I set now. Okay, let's go to OBS, which is now requiring me to have at least some, like, see, it needs to be at least some geometry, which is kind of annoying. Your heart? That's great. Right, so right now you can see my screen, and that's the usual stuff, but you can see here that I get 2 new scenes. I have accidentally shown you my sudo password at least twice on stream. One time I distinctly remember, and that VOD is not public, and as far as I know, nobody watched it live, so it's like, okay. Since you said, oh yeah, right, so to not show you a possible password that I might be typing in, I have a new thing, and let me try my best to remember what it is. I think it's the hotkeys meta 8. And now you're supposed to not see my screen. I think you're not. You're seeing hiding secrets from you. Screen share will come back in a sec, and that's what I would be using when I need to not show you something. Like, for example, if I get to a window and I immediately realize that, oh fuck, this is gonna show like a DM in Discord or something, I can panically press meta 8 to hide it from you. You're in my walls. Okay, fine. I'll let you. And the other one is for when I leave to come back soon, and that is meta 9, and it says I vanished, coming back in a minute. Yeah, and then meta 0 lets me go back to main. Now the fact is, I'm not very trusting of OBS hotkeys. I just vanished, disappeared. It's like playing the game with a kid who doesn't have object permanence yet. It's very, very cute. Right, so OBS hotkeys, they actually work, they're all fine, but it's possible that sometimes you might be under-pressing a hotkey, thinking that it went through when in actuality it did not. So I have hotkeys for convenience, just to not do this with my mouse, like so I don't have to. But more realistically, what I'm going to be doing, like say I'm in the terminal and I need to sudo, yeah, sure, actually this works. I'm pressing meta 8 right now. I still go to OBS to check, okay, yeah, I am indeed hiding secrets from you. I come back to my terminal, I type in my sudo password. It has worked, and now I bring you back and move you to the terminal, coming to the input that I wanted to show you, for example, right? Because for now, I'm not yet super confident in my hotkey pressing skills to like risk showing you my sudo password again. I don't want to change it again because I actually really like my current one. You could tie the hotkey to a loud sound. Me reading the ingredients of Nutella. So that you know it went through. Right, but the thing with triggers like this is that even if the sound plays, because what I could do is make some certain hotkey on the system side that would play a sound and then send the hotkey itself to OBS, right? Even though the sound went through, I don't know that OBS got it still. It doesn't really prove it. Now for something like this, it's fine if I fuck it up. I just have to then ensure that I am still showing you my screen. Because if at least some person in the chat is active and like actually watching the video, then yeah, okay, fine, and they'll probably tell me. But if nobody is live watching me, and this section is like for the VOD viewers, Well, it's kind of fucked up that they just won't see anything. Make an AI that looks at the stream to check if it went through. With use of AI in the last 55 years. Actually correct. Ilmao. I mean, something I could do is, like, I guess it still comes back to going ahead and still looking at it again. But that, I guess, is more so until I'm so sure of the hotkeys that I don't have to check again. I think it's just a practice type of thing rather than anything else. Another few hotkeys, and I hate that this window doesn't automatically tile. Like, why does it not? Okay, I retract my question. I also made hotkeys for starting and stopping streaming, as well as recording and pausing, which I'm not doing very much. If you go to my channel, to the videos tab, you'll probably see that I don't make a lot of videos anymore. That's because I hate editing. And I'm like just barely starting to get through, I guess, my anxiety of making content with streams. Let me rephrase that. Streaming was already burning out enough, and much more for videos, because first of all, I have to record in a more kind of perfect manner, being more precise and perfect with my wording and the flow of the video. Because when you're watching a live stream or VOD, what you want, or at least what I want when I do, is to get a live experience, a more alive one, a more human one, a more imperfect by design one. But when you're watching a video, you probably want something a bit more pretty, a bit more precise, and so on and so forth. So that is needed. And then editing, which sucks so much. So yeah, I'll probably record a video eventually, but I don't feel like it. Right, so those are my hotkeys for OBS now. The trusting hotkeys thingy is the same with them. It's just so I don't have to use the mouse, pretty much. Like, I might start ending stream in a different desktop. What? And then I'll still go to OBS to check if I did, and so on and so forth, you know? Okay, so we went through chat, we went through OBS. I have a feeling that I wanted to show something else to you as well, but right now I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. I should have written this down. Are we playing Enter the Gungeon or what? I wonder if anyone... I think you play Enter the Gungeon. I might be misremembering though. Fuck! Yeah, right. Remembered. So, on the last stream, I talked about this. It had another line. Talked about my hotkeys for switching desktops, right? I passed the first boss once. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's actually a quite difficult game if you're not used to that type of roguelike. You should check out Xmap. I will, okay. Is that like a program for remapping? Because it sounds like one. Enter the Gungeon is a difficult game, but what I love it for is that it rewards you massively from you having knowledge. Fuck yeah, I've been looking for a remapping thing, because X.tool is just kinda not good enough. It's too slow, honestly. So yeah, like the more you know about the game, the better at it you become. It's super cool. So the hotkeys that I used to use on the last stream is meta. So assume that all of these hotkeys start with meta or super or Windows key, or I think there's one other name. UI, O, P, and then there would be the second row of M, comma, period, and slash. So what I'm talking about, to like elaborate, hotkeys to switch to different desktops. So these 16 that I have. Where were we? I think here. Oop. Right, so that was my previous setup, how I did it. Technically, you could call it the hyper. Yeah, but on some keyboards, it's actually present. Interesting. I like hyper, it's pretty cool. So I changed these hotkeys. Now, let's use green. The second row is Alt-U, Alt-I. Let's do this. Well, that's just looking goofy. Alt-O, Alt-P. I'm sure you don't necessarily need my drawing to this extent, especially when it's this slow, but I know it feels good to actually draw out this information I'm talking about. I think the name you thought of was GUI key, though. No. No, I don't think so. Do you mean like the document key or the menu key? Or apps key? Is that considered hyper? I wouldn't think so. Because that it's actually present on my keyboard. I just remapped it in /user share x11 xkb symbols pc. I go by many names. So true. Now I have the first row is just those four, but the second row gains alt. And the same thing goes for M, comma, period, slash, and then all of them, but with alt. Let me explain this change. Let me explain this decision. There are often pair desktops. Currently we're on the first one that has my main VS Code window, which I always have open. Super Meta GUI Windows Command Apple. I've never heard it be called GUI. Never. First time, literally. So this window will always exist, right? But what if I open another, like, full-on project that I want to work on? Well, in that case, I will open another VS Code window on another desktop, which is going to be this one, the fifth one. We can even look at it like this, right? Yeah, I remember correctly. So this place. So we have Meta U, and now Meta Alt U. The difference here, then it's maybe like it used to be Meta M to go here. Now it's Meta Alt U. The positive of this is that what if I need to go from and between these two desktops many times? Maybe I have some, yeah, like for example, let me look at colors and I'm doing some CSS in a project. I'm not really doing that, but I could. GUI makes no sense to me, but people use it. Are you still showing you of your insane 16 virtual desktops? Yeah. I've already shown off 2 other things on this stream, but I'm talking about the change that I did yesterday. So the positive of this is that it's very easy in terms of hand movement. Thank you, Flores. It's very easy in terms of the hand position to switch between these two. Also, the terminal used to be on the 5th one, and that goes to show even more. Like the Expert project used to be on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so this one desktop, while the 5th one used to have the terminal. So imagine this, I'm doing something in my main VS Code window and now I want to commit, and say my finger is on meta U because I was reading a doc and I'm like blah 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 blah, lets me look at the code one last time and immediately go to commit it. My finger is still on the U and I want to go to the terminal, and I would be moving the same finger all the way down to the M key to go to this desktop. And especially if you need to go between them many times, and I often do, because like the information doesn't really stay in my head well, it's very inefficient. It feels kind of bad. I guess then we could just make, what is this one? The 9th desktop be the terminal, but I feel like grouping them together like this, grouping apps together that are often used together, makes a lot of sense, especially considering that we're not skipping through a whole another desktop, which might have some other window, which we will see when switching through desktops. Let me try to give you an example. Let's go to YouTube, right? You barely saw Spotify there, right? As we're switching, you're seeing Spotify there. It doesn't make it slower to switch, no, but it's a bit more visual clutter than if we're just having the two on 2 different desktops that are close together without any other desktop in between. Then there is me. I have like 3. I could not manage that. Holy shit. First thing I open, probably Discord, probably the terminal. First thing I open is nothing really, because everything just auto opens for me. I have VS Code, the general Vivaldi window, so browser, then the general terminal, then I may have had a another project open. Then we have Discord, or more precisely Discord plus Telegram plus Mastodon plus VK. Then we have Spotify. We have a Vivaldi window specifically for YouTube. What else do I have? Oh, Anki, obviously, yeah. Yeah, so those are the windows that are usually open for me, always. I have one. I feel like a caveman. You should definitely get into virtual desktops, especially with a window tiling script. They become much more useful. If I have more than 5, I'm probably working on a bash script. It has happened that I've gotten to 15 used virtual desktops. I don't think I've ever used all of them, because if I did, I would have 20 right now. But yeah, it's actually like a very helpful workflow for me. Have an average of 7 terminals open. What about this? Have you heard of tabs? Bro's terminal doesn't have tabs. I mean, I guess at least you're not using console, you know? Coming back, we have now 2 VS Code windows, if I had one open, close together. Then the general VS Code window, which let's save. Nope. Here. Window TypeScript. I want you to elaborate on that. I don't get that. Maybe I'm forgetting some context. No tabs is just very unfortunate. Tabs are so useful. I would love it to get into this. Where to start? I probably said something and I'm immediately forgetting that I did, which you're replying to. Let me try to remember what you might be talking about. No, I don't know, honestly. Can you elaborate what you're specifically asking? So the general Vivaldi window, and this one will supposedly also be in that general idea. It's unlikely that I'll be opening a whole nother browser window for something, but who knows, maybe. Then terminal, and in a similar case to VS Code, another terminal, but specifically for timers. Usually, when I'm actually like doing stuff, whatever it is, I do my Pomodoro function that counts 25 minutes, and then 5 minutes of rest. I would love it to get into virtual desktops. You said it's much easier with window tabs. Oops. Oh, by the way, that's another change that I did. The arrow is now yellow with black. I should make this a bit bigger. Even more. Actually, what am I doing? I could just switch here so I can look Lamau. It said it's much easier with window tabs. I heard TypeScript for some reason. Oh, okay. I was saying that they get much more useful if you use a tiling window manager. And I'll get to that, how I personally do it, after a bit, after like I explain my idea. Remind me if I forget though. 2 on the target location of the script. 1 where the script is supposed to be. 1 in the system directory, where a tool, which it relies on, is located. 1 to manage dependencies, 1 doing something else. Bro, I think it's you that suggested me to use Z. Just use Z, lol. Or get good at something like push D and pop D. I'm not sure how useful they are to be real, but that many is a bit ridiculous, I think. I feel that though, like I feel like I'm exactly the type of person to have that many terminals opened, but like, is that really reasonable, you know? The last one keeps switching duty. Keep switching tool? Yeah, that's what's surprising to me, that you would rather have that many terminal windows than just use Z again. But each of those usually have different environment variable. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair then. Yeah, get a terminal that has tabs. I recommend Kitty, but I'm sure it's not the only option. Tabs are so nice, especially when you can also have like panes inside of them, like this. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. let's move it here. Like, boom, we do a pane. We're in another tab without that pane because it's in the tab. It's super nice. So, terminal, timer terminal. Nothing really, because Windows P is kind of annoying for me to press. But one of these would have a book that I'm currently reading. Discord, or like social, I guess you could say, website. Well, I usually have BTOP open, but on VT1, not in a standard terminal. What is VT1? Spotify, YouTube, Anki. And the thing about Anki is that it's also on this specific desktop for a hotkey reason. Usually when I'm adding a new cards, I would be here. And to go here, I press Meta I. And then to go back to Anki, I press Meta / with a completely different finger, so I can very easily switch between them, like very fast, without it slowing me down. VT1 is the proper term for TTY1. Well, explain what you mean by TTY1. I know there's like dev TTY. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I'm using a different. No, yeah, I use BTOP, which is annoying in the sense that it requires you to have a certain amount of space instead of just removing elements. Oh no, not even close to Hyperland. I feel like I'll eventually get to something like Hyperland when I will eventually probably switch to proper Arch with just a window manager. Control Alt F1. I don't believe you. That will, I don't know. It might do something that I actually don't intend to. Like, can you explain more specifically what it actually is? You say it's like proper terminal for it. Like, what's the features are different or something? It's the first time I'm hearing about it. So yeah, easy for me to add new cards and switch to Anki. I used to rely on this desktop being above this one and go up and down, as I've explained in the last stream, I think. But now I don't have to rely on that. Now it's just hotkeys, you know? I am using... I'll get to it because Flores was actually asking specifically for it, so I'll go into my setup in just a second. And this still stays being like Steam and OBS. And these are mostly untaken, except this one is for Blender and GIMP. So this kind of 2 rows, which might have supporting windows. That's the idea for why I changed my hotkeys. Now, to get to the setup of virtual desktops, how you do it. Stop calling me, oh my god. What if people call me and it's usually banks trying to give me a credit card? I don't want a credit card. Like, I'm using KDE, right? And with KDE, we can go to kwin scripts, boom, and then get new scripts. You will see Cronkite pretty high up, and that is the tiling, like window script. No, window tiling script. Yeah, that's how you say it. And that's what I personally use. Think of it like this. There are 7-Eleven terminals by default on your computer. Oh, 7-to-11? And when you boot up, the logs appear on TTY1, then it switches you to TTY7, and you log into SDDM or GDM and that will send you to TTY2, where your DE or VM or VC is running. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Wow. So, what Cronkite lets you do, I don't feel like this is going to be like a more comprehensive thing on Cronkite. There are other tutorials. I might talk about it in the future. Who knows? But basically, it automatically tiles windows like you're seeing it do right now. And once you get it and like install it, now all the new windows that you open, almost all of them, will be automatically tiled. This isn't proper explanation, but it's the intuitive one. The latter is so much more useful. There are folks that like pray by correctness too much, to a point where just like they end up explaining things in the most convoluted and complex and not understandable way whatsoever. But at least they're correct. It's not fucking important. It's really not. It's usually much better to get a more or less understanding and then improve it, rather than immediately get the most precise and correct explanation but not get it whatsoever. So thank you. I think that's the way to explain stuff. But then again, I have a bias of being a YouTuber, and it's kind of in my blood to explain things in a better, I guess, way, and more fun, more understandable, all that stuff. I'm not like a professor or something. Right, so the main idea of a tiling window script in my case is that, first of all, it's incredibly useful for streaming with a single screen. As you see me switch through different desktops, chat like stays aside in different positions if I want to, by the way, like automatically resizing, because it's a window that stays on all desktops. I should probably close this, we don't need this anymore. So that's really nice for me as a streamer. Not having something like tiling as Cronkite with having chat open like this would be just horrendous, and I'm pretty sure I just didn't do it in the past. Right, so the idea of it is that all of your screen real estate is used correctly. Like, say I open memes, and it opens in a very reasonable place, taking up a part of the space for you to use, and then once you close it, it automatically resizes the other windows to fit the current like layout that you're currently having. So the eventual idea of using a tiling either window manager, which is going to be much better than Cronkite, or a tiling script if you're also using KDE, is the fact that you can think of each desktop in a different way. Each desktop is its own activity. So what happens on this desktop? Social related stuff. Like, I'm either on Discord, Telegram, Mastodon, VK, right? And this is the activity that I'm currently doing. There is a certain place, and it's one of these four, where I download certain videos and turn them into audio. And for this, I need to open, first of all, a terminal. And let's actually do this and move it here, and this here, and then up, and then resize it. You get used to it, I promise. And then go, like this usual process. We'll go to downloads, we open another tab with the same current working directory, and we dolphin this, and and the reason I do it this way, like in a new tab, is so it doesn't tell me anything, like it doesn't print anything into my terminal. Okay, so I have this terminal open and this dolphin window open for this current activity that I'm doing. Okay, say, I don't know, my timer for action in my Pomodoro timer has run out, and now it's time to, I don't know, watch ASMR or something. I go to a different window, and all of those are like gone. I don't have to think about them. I don't even need to know that they exist. That activity is contained by itself, and it will still be there once I come back to it. But if it's not what I'm currently doing, I can just leave. I don't even have to close the windows and do all that stuff. No, I can just leave and go do something else. It's going to be completely fine. And then once I'm done doing this completely something else, I can come back and just continue as normal without having to first close the windows and then reopen them, retile them if you don't have a window tiling manager, and set them up in some certain fashion. No, you just don't close them. Linux is very smart with RAM, so the RAM that's not like being used actively is just going to be all good and dandy. It's going to go to swap or something, and so on. And the app that you're actually currently using is going to use the RAM properly. So you don't really need to think about closing windows in terms of performance as much on Linux as you would have to on Windows, in my experience. So in this case, you can just never really close windows that you might come back to. Something like keeping a book here. And let's actually do this. Let's open a tab, Zathura, blah, blah, blah. I guess it's there, interesting. Close it. Don't you think it's funny that ASMR is mostly an audio-video format when it's just a mostly hearing-based thing? Like, on paper it is, but the ASMR artists are often so cute that video is actually a pretty important part of it. It's like, they're so cute, they're so pretty, that actually adds to the calming experience quite a lot. So yeah, we have our book here. I could be reading the book, blah, 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 and then say I'm done. Well, actually, how I would do it, I'm like, Control-N to look at the page that I've read. Okay, 72, I go to my terminal. The book is gone for all I know. I know what desktop it is, and thanks to my cool hotkeys, I can go to that desktop very easily. But it's out of my way. It's not like fucking around with my vision. It's not here along with other 7 apps possibly, which is annoying, which is why you would close them, right? No, it's just out of my way, and I can go do anything. And what I would do is floral barrel git show set episode, and then use my show tracker to track a book, which I'm like realized that I can do. It's not made for this, but nobody's stopping you. Boom, I do this, and then, like, maybe, well, this does a commit, but it doesn't push. But let's say this command, whatever I executed, actually pushes and takes some time. I don't even have to wait. I can go anywhere and do something. Well, I guess that's also true with floating, if they're all, like, full screen. But the difference between windows covering each other is that you still know that all of them are there. They're very clearly displayed here at the top. And if you have tiling, Yeah, if you have tiling, you kind of have to undo it to come back to something. While with Cronkite, I can just do this, for example. Boom, we just maximize Discord. And we still have tiling. Like, that's another thing. It's still a whole activity that you can still maximize in a way. Yeah, so the difference from floating is that all of your specific setup, be it how you tile, move, resize windows, all of that stays how you want it to stay constantly until you change it. And you can similarly come back to a certain desktop expecting a certain experience and just having it, rather than having to constantly like reconfigure your like live setup of windows for them to work correctly for you. If you're like editing something in GIMP, it won't like bother you on a tiling window manager type of thing, because it's just on some virtual desktop, and you won't see this annoying thing that, oh, you have to finish me. No, you won't. You're just going to see whatever is on a specific desktop, and therefore it's an activity that you're not forced to finish as soon as possible. You can easily take breaks, you can go away, go do something else, and then just as easily come back and continue your activity. So virtual desktops in TLDR is a way to separate your different activities in a very clean way that lets you not like overcommit to a single thing for longer than you're comfortable with, and instead you can just jump around with things, letting you do things for as long as it feels good without any extra setup. So that's my overall opinion on why 16 desktops basically. It depends for me, it often distracting. Same, but yeah, it very much depends. It's like a feels thing. Oh, like you mean like the visuals? I don't mind sometimes though. Like when I'm doing something and also listening to ASMR, it very much depends whether it will be distracting to me or helping. It's a feels thing. I actually prefer the concept of tags in DWM over virtual desktops, but it may be less intuitive at first. Well, Vim isn't very intuitive at first either, and I love it. So I believe you, I most definitely believe you. I just haven't tried that yet. I don't know much about like window managers. I've heard about a bunch of them, but never actually tried one, because I'm currently tied kind of roughly to my desktop environment, and as time goes I'll find out alternatives that I could be using instead of having to rely on my desktop environment, and then I'll probably try out some and switch to actual Arch. That's my overall idea. Yeah, I meant visual stuff. Okay. I only used one on Linux. Window manager, you mean that? I think you've told me, but I don't remember. But too many on Windows. Wait, what? There are other window managers on Windows? I mean, I made my own with AHK for Windows, but I'm still surprised. The good thing is you can use tags exactly how you use virtual desktops, just with more optional functionality. Well, that's amazing. That's very good. That really helps in the like initial switch type of thing. Still keeping that level of comfort so it doesn't go into anxiety too much. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, that's like super cool. Yeah, so it's in another screen already. Yeah, Flores, I hope that kind of helps you out in understanding the fuller why and how to start, and that is KDE and Cronkite. And just look through the settings, basically. There's a lot of really useful stuff there. Also, I recently, like, when I went to the edge of my screen, it would switch desktops. I have actually yesterday disabled it. I have this really weird feeling that I'm like free to actually touch all of this without anything happening. And the reason I did it is the same reason I disabled directional virtual desktop switch hotkeys, because it's inefficient. Can someone tell me a good virtual desktop manager for Windows? Honestly, what I would do is I would write my own in AutoHotkey. That's not a good solution, but that's what I would do. But honestly, like, try out Linux if you're not like using it. At least in WSL, especially if you're doing some like more technical stuff. WSL, Linux is going to help out a lot, I think. Oh, I actually heard of Komorebi. It's written in Rust. I love coding in AHK, so yeah. Fuck yeah. Like, I've made... It's like a stretch to call it a window manager, but I mean, it technically is. That's what I used it for, and it did exactly what I wanted it to. It had some pretty cool ideas that I still kind of appreciate. Yeah, but it's not going to be like, it's a lot of effort. So the better solution is probably choosing one of the like one of those that already exist. Can't use Linux because of my work laptop, but HK is really fun, so it's alright. Alright. Yeah, you can honestly fix Windows quite a lot, and in some like places make it better than Linux, thanks to AutoHotkey. But it depends on your skill level with AutoHotkey. But once you like hit the ground running, is that the phrase? You can have a really good setup with AutoHotkey on Windows. But still, me switching to Linux is super worth it, because a lot of stuff that I did with hours of work without a hotkey, it's just now a setting in, well, settings for me, so it's much more straightforward. It might miss some hyper-specific features that I used to have, but a lot of them I re-implemented in like less hyper-precise ways, like this, for example. Oops, that's not the one. Hold up, what does that do? Nothing in this case, but it would pause a recording. So, oops. Hold up. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, meta n. So I used to have a thing on Windows where I would get my own command runner to pop up in the middle of the screen. I actually have a video on it, which I might as well send, right? Oops, bad habits. Runner. Whoop. Yeah. And once I type in that text, it then shows up in an info, basically showing that text on my screen. I also used the runner, actually modified it quite a bit. Oh, fuck yeah. The runner is such a nice idea. And you know what's cool about Linux? It's just a part of like the desktop environment KDE. It's just a thing here. You can do something like, oh, let's go to this window, let's kill this app and all that. It's like very nice in that sense. Fancy WM. Oh my god. Shit, you do indeed have a list. How do you know all of these? I've never heard of even one of them when I was back on Windows. Wow. Okay, I've heard of Komorebi, I think. But I've never actually checked it out, I think. Right, so I re-implemented that functionality on Linux in a bit more straightforward way. Basically, I needed to write less functionality, and what I'm doing basically is just gluing up things that already exist. So I'm basically just creating a terminal window that runs a program that does nothing, letting me input my text. I can even make it bigger if I want to, and then I just like resize it if I want to, move it, boom, you know? So it's very simple in this sense compared to the solution that I used to have on Windows with AutoHotkey. And this kind of idea repeats itself many times, that with AutoHotkey you overall have more accessible power to do more things more specifically, and that's super cool. And it's like, I could see how it's a full-on argument to not switch to Linux because that is that good. Like, valid in my opinion. But on Linux you will generally have a bit less power compared to using AutoHotkey, but the general thing will be like super easy and seamless and like very simple to do. That's pretty much the difference. Like, for example, I want to have a hotkey that just clicks my mouse in the position that it already is. I super know how to do this without a hotkey. But on Linux, how I would solve this issue, and I just haven't gotten to it yet, but how it usually goes is that I would find some program that is specific for mouse-related clicks and stuff, and then I can use that program to do stuff with the mouse. So that is how it would go. And it will probably give me a bit more options, or maybe I'll find some program that lets me get a new mode that moves my mouse with a keyboard, and so on and so forth. Some of these are broken. Most are unmaintained. Lamau. You should be. Yeah. Well, like, you could at least use WSL when it comes to like terminal related stuff, because it's still super helpful. Yeah. Don't get me into it. My girlfriend will hate me. Why? Linux is so cool. There is an improved Y.tool for that. Huh. You mean X.tool? Because X.tool is just way too slow to be actively using. Like, basically what I want to be able to do, which I currently kinda can't, is just have remaps which are like 1-to-1 speed, you know? Rather than using X.tool, which sometimes takes 1.5 seconds. Yep, it's X only, and yes, it is indeed slow. So Y.tool is something different. You mentioned some thingy that I wanted to check out. I forgot to write it down. Where is it? Xmap. Okay, Xmap. Oops. check out xmap. Let's put it here and more I guess involved actions. And check out, is wider tool a typo, or is that what you actually mean? I wonder. No, this is like a bit less involved in the sense of doing CSS. Let me explain what this line means. You can see currently that these two lines are new in Git, and I have these annoying black lines inside of them. I want to remove that, and my friend has a VS Code theme that doesn't have them. So I want to look at the source code of that color scheme to try to implement those into my thing as well. Huh, so that is what you mean. Fuck yeah, y.tool. If that's really all it takes, holy shit, I'll go crazy with it. I already go crazy with it on Linux, but remaps and like sending keys and all that stuff is something I really miss. Okay, thank you. Fuck yeah, I'll check that out, definitely. You can see here that I have this task of the thing. And the reason for that is that, say I double click to reply, blah, 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 right? I press escape to go into normal mode. Boom, I can no longer scroll and I have to click somewhere again to scroll. There's only one example, but there are other places where basically I just need something to click my mouse wherever it is. But what I would ideally want is have some program that implements a second mode that lets me move my mouse smartly with my keyboard. Sast, I feel like you exactly would know about something like this. Hold up, it just came to me. I can probably... Oh. I can... Let me inspect. I can probably change my nickname color to whatever I want on every server using CSS, right? But first we'll have to... So we go here. Then we go here. Here. Again. And again. That's a lot of nesting. And I guess here we just go to the bottom to look at the most recent message. Chat messages, blah, 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 blah. I wonder, well, I guess no. Discord CSS is not very helpful. Smartly, like Vimium, or just keys to move the pointer in different directions? The latter, but in the sense of having different hotkeys to move the mouse in a direction by a different distance, like what I used to have on Windows without a hotkey, rather than just, oh, hold it down and then it speeds up. I hate that. It's very annoying. I would rather it jump immediately, but have an ability to set the distance by how much it moves. So somewhere in here, we will see, so here, H3 that has a span, this one. For the latter, I used a custom keyboard. For the former, there is system-wide Vim, but only on Mac and Windows. That's just sad. What? I would think that type of thing would be precisely like on Linux first and then the others. Username blah blah blah, desaturate user colors blah blah blah, expanded false. If we can grab this type of span, specifically if it has the inner text, time to spend 200 on a custom keyboard. I don't have 200. I barely have 10, I think. There's probably a way, like only apply this CSS if the inner, in this case multi, in my case Axel Fulbler or Alisa, like matches that, because I doubt it that the class actually contains a proper ID specifically per person, you know? Like I super doubt it. But the idea is that here in color we change it to something you're supposed to interrupt. Like this as a stream for a reason, so that you can actually chat. Ever thought of working on a C# project? I actually know C# and I have quite a lot of like learning, I guess, projects in C# because I went through a year-long course on C#. I just don't like the language. It's very annoying and I don't like it. I like Rust far more. So whenever I come up with a new project, C# just never makes sense, because it's often either too huge, too annoying, or too slow. Yeah, no, I know you know. When you're gonna show us like a C# project? None of them are really that great or useful. There's Short Tracker, and that I actually still use sometimes. And I have a video on that, and let me check if I have a link to it. FFA FD7. So it changes this, right? So we changed that, and I love it, the color. And I'm like, ASDF. Okay, so it might actually be username specific. Custom role, and it overrides. I get it. I see. So what I don't want to do is just make every single person use the same color. So ideally I would want to find out how to capture a span if it has this text inside of it. It's probably a thing. Let me immediately write it down so I remember that it's an idea that I want to do. Catch HTML element if inner text is this, and after it make nickname color pink everywhere. I should be practicing my Java to keep it hot for my resume, but I don't want to ever have to use the second screen for variables again. Holy shit. Yeah, that's like super relatable. Like I should be doing at least a bit of C# for like job related reasons, but I really don't want to. I just don't like the language. I would rather not. So I'm kind of like pouring my energy into Rust because I like it quite a bit more. I still know C#, I can still use it. I just don't particularly want to. Right, so Short Tracker. I guess I don't have a video on that then. Well, but it's on my GitHub. Short Tracker, let me show it off. Let's do Short Tracker list, It's a way to track how long ago you did a certain action. So I changed the coil on the green vape 32 days ago, and while that is still working, 27 for white, I changed the water filters almost 2 months ago. I should change them. I bought ExpressVPN 56 days ago. It expired, by the way. And I changed my razor 40 days ago, huh? I should probably change it as well, but it's still kind of working. So Chart Tracker lets you like Chart Tracker do SDF, and then we should list. And you can notice that there's like a holdup after you execute the command and the output that you see. It's not because my program is that ridiculously like complex and it does a lot of things. No, it's just because the C# runtime on Linux is kind of slow to boot up, which is why it makes no sense for the projects that I'm usually making via programming to be written in C#, you know? Because ExpressVPN is incredible and I love it. It's my favorite VPN. I've tried a few others. ExpressVPN for the win still. It's the strongest VPN that I've tried as well, letting me go through like geolocations that other VPNs don't let me pass. ExpressVPN is great. Not sponsored, but I wish. Like it's one of the sponsors I feel actually passionate about if I got sponsored by it. Absolutely sucks for you. It was always working great for me. Like currently, I have a hacked version of ExpressVPN on my phone, and that's what I've been using for a while now there. And yeah, for me it works great. Expensive like the other top options. Slow AF? Really? It's supposed to be the fastest one, and in my comparisons, yeah, it kind of checks out. Barely any servers that actually work. Huh. Yeah, I don't have those issues. Interesting. Also not private. I mean, that's not really what I care about personally in the VPN. What I really want is just to be able to go around restrictions that I otherwise have. Mulvad is what I use now when I need one. Yeah, I heard good things about Mulvad as well. But I'm like a very happy customer when it comes to ExpressVPN, so I don't really want to go to anything else. Almost completely anonymous, fixed, sensible price. The other positive of ExpressVPN that I found is that it was actually very easy to pay for it from Russia with a Russian option, even though we're currently having war, or that we're making war. So every other place would just not let me pay. At best with Bitcoin or something. But that's not usually an option. But ExpressVPN I was able to just buy very normally through Kiwi, which is a very often used payment option in Russia. So it's easy to buy. But I heard that Mulvad is also very, very easy to buy. I don't know, I might try it next, but I'm not sure. Right, so we added ASDF. So we did ASDF 0 days ago. If you come back to this tomorrow, you will see that it will have 1 in there. And then you can do, if you do ASDF tomorrow as well, you then do Chart Tracker do ASDF, and it will show up as 0 again, right? You can do Chart Tracker remove, and you can actually put multiple things that you might want to remove. Boom. List and boom. And as you see, it keeps having this hold up before actually showing the output. There's not, like, the program is not complex. It's pretty simple in what it does, yet it's so supposedly slow to execute, right? But as the C# runtime at least specifically on Linux, being this slow, which is why, like, fuck C#. I can just mail my cache if I don't want to set up Monero. The one good crypto. I use USDT, or at least I used to. I don't know about, like, the one good crypto. Like, are they really? I don't know. With all the drama surrounding crypto, I just, like, don't trust it by default. I'm sure it's reasonable in some ways or others, but they don't have a good track record in terms of PR. And they're also often tied to very lame guys who are very into crypto, and well, they're super lame like that basically. And I don't want to be associated with them, so I don't really want to use crypto because it provides something else other than decentralization. It's anonymous. It's another thing that I also don't care about. So similar to VPNs, crypto for me would be to just be able to pay for something I would not be able to pay for otherwise. I don't particularly care if, like, the transaction is not anonymous. I guess there may be situations where that may be important, but not for me really. Drawing a blank in my mind right now. Yeah, I think I'm done for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun, learned something potentially, and goodbye. And let me try to end stream on a different desktop that does not have OBS, where I would be clicking with the mouse usually.